Rewind to high school for this story. I'm just starting to drive more and more. I've got a chance to hang out with some friends. It's a Wednesday night, so it's Wacky Wednesday bowling, where you can bowl for cheap. So I hop into my 1991 hand-me-down Ford Explorer, Eddie Bauer edition. So it had leather, but plenty of rust all over the outside of it at this point. And I was running late, so I'm driving faster than I should. Now, to my credit, this part of the road that I'm going to describe to you used to be a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it was just recently moved to a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit because it was right next to the high school. But I'm going faster than I even should in a 35 because I'm running late, and the next thing I know, in my rearview mirror is the lights of a cop car. Police officer pulls me over. My heart just starts pounding. I'm nervous to the point where my hands are shaking when I'm handing him my license and my registration or whatever he needs out of my glove box. And he says, "Any idea how fast you were going?" And I said, "Really, no, I don't." And he said, "You were going 47 in a 25, which sounds bad because it's almost doubling the speed limit. But it used to be a 35-mile-an-hour area. And so I didn't feel as bad. But the ticket didn't reflect that. And now I had over $100 to pay the city of Rapid City. And that felt insurmountable, and I knew I was in huge trouble. So I don't even go bowling. I just turn the car around and I start heading for home, because I remember a story that my dad told me when he was in high school, I believe, when he got his first speeding ticket. And he went home to his parents, my grandparents, and he described the story as walking into a dark room because they were already in bed, and he admitted to getting pulled over. And my grandpa's response out of the darkness was, "Put your keys on the dresser. You're done driving for a long time." And I always shuddered at the story. I never liked the thought of my grandpa's stern voice just saying, "You are done driving for a while." And so I decided to be preemptive, and I already know the consequence. So when I go home, I go straight upstairs to my parents. They're both in their room. I walk past them. They're looking at me confused because I just left a little while ago, and I put my keys on my dad's dresser and I start walking out. And my dad said, "What's going on?" And I said, I put my keys on your dresser because I got a speeding ticket. And I'm bracing myself for my dad's reaction, and I'm ready for the consequence. And he asked me, "How fast were you going?" And I said, "I was going 47 in a 25, but it used to be a 35." And I explained my story. Again, didn't matter a whole lot. But then he paused and he took the keys and he said, "You do need to slow down, but don't let it ruin your night. You can go bowling with your friends." And he tossed me the keys. And I remember catching the keys, and I was just not expecting that response. And it's because there was gentleness in the response, which came from him being gracious and him being forgiving and kind towards me, that actually made me want to obey him all the more, to slow down, to watch my speed, and to not get a speeding ticket again, because he used gentleness in his response towards me. It's a lot of the way that we react to God when we really realize his gentleness towards us, his graciousness towards us, and his forgiveness towards us. And when we really experience that at a deep level, that's what actually wills us to obey him all the more. And to say, "I believe what you say is true, that you have a design for life and that it's good. And so I want to follow what you say in your word all the more because of the gentleness you've shown me in my life." I came across a verse lately that made me think back to that story, and it's out of Philippians chapter 4. Verse 4 is the really recognizable one, and it says, "Rejoice in the Lord always." I will say it again, rejoice. But chapter 4, verse 5 has caught my attention. It says, "Let your gentleness be evident to all." And I got to thinking, why does Paul, writing to the Philippians, put such an emphasis on our gentleness as Christ followers being evident to all? I recently have taken inventory of my practice of gentleness, and where I think it's most convicting, and maybe convicting for you too, is with those closest to you. So in my case, how gentle am I with my wife in our arguments and discussions when we see things differently? How gentle am I with my kids when they screw up, when they mess up, when they spill, even the innocence of that? How am I practicing gentleness, that fruit of the Spirit, with those closest to me? Because I can wear gentleness pretty well with coworkers. I can wear gentleness pretty well with friends and neighbors, but it reaches another level with those that you're most comfortable with. Am I extending and practicing gentleness towards those closest to me, who I know will forgive me and I know I can make it up to in the future? I think you could probably also picture people in your life who you feel most safe around and you trust the most, probably because they showed gentleness towards you. And I like thinking about that because there are a few people in my life that I would say I can say anything to, and that I will take their wisdom and I will go to with a lot of my stuff. And I'll go mostly because they have that underlying common denominator of being gentle with me. I don't know where that hits you today, if that's an area of life that God has been sanctifying and making you more and more like Him, and that actually is coming pretty easily for you. For others of you, that might be convicting as well, where that is a part of me that I would love to see change in. And in closing, I just want to remind you that it's not about you just trying harder to be gentle, but it's about being so connected to the Spirit. Once again, our roots being in the stream, the water source of God, and being so filled by Him that we notice how gentle He is with us. And so we find ourselves being more gentle towards those around us and those who need grace and forgiveness from us, just as we realize we're receiving it from God all the time. Thank you again for watching. As usual, share this to anybody who you might find it could be helpful for. Leave comments. Love to interact with you on here. And subscribe if you'd like, once a week, to have these breaks in your day to realize that you are planted by the water as a follower of Jesus, and to send out at your roots by the stream.